Welcome back to That Dad Guy. It is January 16th, 2025, and it's a bit cold here right now. This morning when I was delivering the mail, it was minus 16 with the wind chill, and so I have been trying to warm up the best way I know how, and this great calendar with different scenes of beaches kind of put me in the mood for what we're talking about today. We're once again going into my father's stamp collection. Back there, we are dealing with the Americas. So anything that he didn't consider Canada or the United States, he put in one binder, and he didn't have a lot of stamps from those countries, but he did put them in alphabetical order, and we've been going through it part by part. If you haven't been watching the series so far, you may want to go back and check out some of the other great countries we've already started to look into. And so that brings me to today's country. We are going to go through that as well. If you're finding my channel for the first time, make sure you subscribe, you like, you leave positive comments, you share with other people, and you put the notification bell on. So what country have we found next to discover? Well, it's the Cayman Islands. For many, it's a beautiful getaway. For others, it's a tax haven, maybe something they're interested in. And so we're going to dive into that. We'll show you the stamps that my father collected, and I'll show you a few stamps that I've added to the collection since. And so the Grand Caymans is the largest by population of British overseas territories. It consists of 3 islands: the Grand Cayman, the Little Cayman, and Cayman Brac. It's located south of Cuba, north of Honduras, and between Jamaica and Mexico. Its capital is Georgetown. Now, last week we were talking about British Guyana, or Guyana, which it is now, and its capital was Georgetown. Well, this is Georgetown as 2 separate words, George and town. Of course, it's named after King George. So that's why he gets his name everywhere. There's Georgetown in all sorts of places. It has the highest standard of living in the Caribbean and one of the highest in the world. It's a major offshore financial center for international businesses and the rich because of the state charges no taxes on income earned or stored. So it's a great place to go and hide away your money if you have lots of it to hide. So that being said, let's come to grips of what the Cayman Islands is. We kind of know where it is in the world now. I've shown you that. How did it come to be? Well, it was first discovered by Christopher Columbus in 1503 on his final voyage to the Americas, and it is shown that it had no original settlers there. It had lots of turtles. That's what Christopher Columbus thought of it. He called it Las Tortugas, after the large turtle population that was which was there, and then subsequently hunted to near extinction to try to feed sailors that were coming through that area. Decades later, though, it was called the Cayman Islands after the Cayman alligators. So those were also an indigenous population to the beautiful Cayman Islands. In 1660, England established its first settlement in Jamaica, and the Cayman Islands were seen as a natural part of Jamaica and the Jamaican colony, although it hadn't yet settled anything there on the islands. The first settlers there was Isaac Bowden, who was one of Oliver Cromwell's soldiers involved in the capture of Jamaica, and that was in 1661. But before we got there were some other people that decided that they want to take shelter here on these 3 islands that nobody else was kind of dealing with at the time. And that brings us to pirates. And yes, indeed, this was a perfect spot for pirates to set up their home base after they go out and pillage and plunder the Spanish galleons that were trying to get back to Spain, filled with all their loot. They used these islands as a place to stop and refill and maybe find some more soldiers or people for their ships. So between 1650 and 1730, that's when we had the height of pirates, and the Cayman Islands was a great place for those pirates. But the most famous pirate to call the Cayman Islands kind of home or sanctuary was Edward Teach. Do you know who Edward Teach is? course you do. But you know him by a different name. You know him as Blackbeard. He was there from 1713 until 1718. That's when he died. It's also the year he got married. It's the last year when he died. Coincidence? I don't know. You be the judge. But anyways, Blackbeard called the Cayman Islands home. And so for those 5 years, he used that as a home base, either to pick up more crew for his ship, maybe to hide his bounty. Who knows? Where I lost my train of thought. Okay. Oh, in the Cayman Islands, though, to celebrate the pirate legacy that is their area, they have Pirate Fest. It lasts for 6 weeks. It starts in the middle of October, and it is one of their proud legacies of the country, so they continue to celebrate it to this day. In 1730, the first permanent English settlement took place in the Cayman Islands. In 1734, the population grew with the English and African slaves. African slaves were brought there to help cut down the forests and to work the cotton plantations. And so there were more slaves that lived there than free people by the end. In 1794, Caymans rescued crew of 10 merchant ships that they call the Wreck of 10 Sails. They ran aground on the reefs, and it was stormy weather. And the legend is King George III promised never to introduce taxes as a result for the islanders' help, as the king had family members on board those ships that were rescued. The legend's not true, though. It's just a fun story and a fun way of saying why there's still no taxes in the Cayman Islands to this day. In 1833, slavery was abolished. By that time, there was many more slaves than free people, as I've just stated, living in the Cayman Islands. By 1863, the Crown Colony of Jamaica was established. By 1962, Jamaica got its freedom, but the Cayman Islands still remained part of the British Empire. 1972, they got some constitutional independence, and even more in 1994. And that is where we are today. The Cayman Islands is a beautiful place for tourists. Also, a great place to go if you've got lots of money and you want to not pay taxes on it. But it also has some beautiful stamps. So that's where we're going to go now. We're going to go look at my father's stamp collection. And guess what? There is only one page from the Cayman Islands. These are the stamps that my father had collected from the Cayman Islands. Some events we might know now that we talked about it. You can see it's a beautiful paradise. You can see why the Queen is on the stamps. They also have beautiful animals that are still there. Not just Cayman alligators, but beautiful bird species that lives there. And you can see these aren't in necessarily in order, because he didn't have very many stamps, so he just put them all on a single page. I guess that'll be up to me to come back and organize them. So that's the stamps that he had. Now, luckily, I went to the stamp fair this weekend. And so while I was there, I found someone else's collection, starting with this early one, Scott number 32. A5 indicates the stamp type, because you can see all the other ones around it. This was also an A5, but it was stamped 32 because probably the denomination is different. And so luckily I found some Cayman Island stamps and I've just added them right to the book. So now I know which ones are missing, at least to a certain point. Of course, it's not a complete collection, but it does add in a few of the missing ones, which he had many. You can see there was a pattern of stamps earlier on where they just changed the color, the denominations, but kept the images, like this sail or the palms. Well, there are many people that collect royal stamps and they want them all from all the different commonwealths, all the different territories. Maybe you're a Queen Elizabeth II collector and you want her stamps, every one that has her image on them. Then you're going to want to get some from the Cayman Islands as well. You can see the new Constitution. When Jamaica got their independence, Cayman Islands still stayed as an overseas territory. As they got constitutional independence, they got to discover a little bit more autonomy. Christmas stamps from 1968. And we know there are people that collect Christmas stamps. Just did a video all about Christmas stamps in the month of December, a big giveaway. Speaking of giveaways, make sure you go and check out Stamp of the Month. This month we're doing a massive giveaway of Machants. Arnold Machant, I did a little history on him. He was the creator of this famous stamp, among other things. And so he had an interesting history. If you haven't watched the video, go back and watch it. But make sure you follow the prompt, put in the keyword, so you're a part of the giveaway that's going to be at the end of the month. Well, that was the Cayman Islands in our progression through my father's stamps. Next week we will tackle another country, and I may have some more additions to that as well. That'll be the sneak peek for you to come. So thank you so much for tuning in once again to see what stamps are going through my father's collection and some of the additions along the way. I wish that these images of beaches and things were warming me up. I'm in a sweater. I think I got a chill right to the bone today. Even though I was well dressed in layers, I could really use some beach time once again. Anyways, that's enough complaining about the weather here. Thanks for joining me and watching a few more things about stamps, maybe learning a little bit of history about a country you may or may not have extensive knowledge about. And I'm loving going through and learning more things about these countries. So thanks again for tuning in, and have a magical week. What, Polo? You say like, subscribe, share, and tell all your friends?
Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy?
Bye. So you reckon it's helping me get warm? I should have put the fireplace screen on, and then I would have had... That's what I should have been doing, not looking at beaches, but looking at the fireplace screen.